Okay, welcome to my thoughts. Now you're probably thinking, hey, this looks a little familiar, doesn't it now? Well, yes, that would be because, yes, I'm doing my thoughts in League of Legends again. I've already done two, sorta, but I'm gonna do another. Because I feel like it. So, yeah. So, what this my thoughts is going to be a bit about is a bit different in general. Um, Kind of like some things that League's done in general more recently, and like so on and so forth. I'm going to be talking about like runes a little bit. I don't really know. I'm not going to be talking about this competitive system because I have no idea with anything about it. So yeah. um and maybe like a few items and like so on and so forth. I'm definitely going to be talking about summoner spells, as I already said, runes, the emotes, basically anything in the collections tab I'm going to be talking about. um so this was a little bit inspired both from like I was going to do it anyway, but kind of what influenced even more was actually from another YouTuber slash streamer, Ross Boomsocks, if you happen to know the name, where he did a recent video. I think it was his latest one. It was like yesterday or the day before, something like that, talking about like why comedy on League of Legends is dead, and how like the big time period or is dying anyway, and how the big time period of like League of Legends, its biggest growth was like 2015, and then after that it just like slowly went downhill because and then he mentioned how like the day that Donkey, who I didn't really watch at all to be truthful, and still really don't, stopped doing League content altogether. It is probably the day that apparently like League of Legends comedy died, and then like nowadays it's mostly whatever the heck it's called, mostly just like stream highlights and so on and so forth. And the reason this is because of algorithms in YouTube that they're promoting themselves. Now I'm not really going to be talking about with YouTube. I am sticking with League, but I agreed with like a lot of the things that he kind of said about League. Such as the first thing being how it really has definitely changed from like a game where you want to just like have fun and play with friends, and it's turned into a much more competitive, you just want to win type of game, which I very much agree with. um, Now, I don't necessarily think that that's like a horrible thing to do, but I think that there should also be more like casual player base and more versatility in some of the things they can do. Now I also mean this in a bit of a different way, so yeah, I'm gonna get into that. Such as first things first, they changed it so that like LCS has become a much bigger thing. Esports with like there's TSM, there's SKT, there's Samsung Galaxy, there's all these different teams now that are playing professionally against each other to determine like who's the best team in the world. Before it was SKT. After this last finals, it turned into Samsung Galaxy, and then that team gets a skin. Now, I like the idea of the competitive, but I also agree with a whole lot of other people when I say that the majority of leagues like thought process is towards esports. Now, I would say it in a slightly different manner, such as I would say that they focus a lot more on esports around the time it really comes about. But since it's most of the year long, that means they focus on it for the majority of the time. Like I think that they need to focus a little bit more on like the common player and try to bring back the fun aspect and kind of like mix up the way things work currently. Such as before, you could play a lot of different champions in a lot of different roles, but now whenever they make a champion, they more or less have a specific role in line. Now, I both disagree with this and agree with this at the same time. Not in the sense of like how they're making the champions, but more in the sense of, do you really want to play it people in different roles? Because one of the big things that really annoys me is like Jarvan. Jarvan, who is generally a bruiser, can build straight damage and one-shot me. And he, yes, will also die faster than a bruiser should, but at the same time, he will have enough sustainability to still survive longer than a regular assassin. And that's what I'm talking about. Where if you build like Nunu, if you build Nunu 100% AP, he will destroy you. He'll shoot his E at you, and it will do literal like a fourth of your HP, which I think is a little stupid. But at the same time, like if you're building in full AP, that's kind of what you would expect to happen. But at the same time, he's still reasonably tanky because of like his Q with gaining back as much HP as it does. But at the same time, he doesn't have like those tank stats that make him impossible to kill if he builds full AP. Or at least like he does die fast enough where I'm okay with seeing a full AP Nunu, because I know that yes, he's gonna hurt the heck out of me, but I can kill him just as fast. And I like that. I like where if I wanted to, I wish that they kind of promoted that a bit more, where champions were a bit more general in the sense of how they could be played and where they could be played. Now, there are things that I've said in the past, like generally I prefer having a tankier top lane. But then there are other people like Tryndamere and Teemo and so on and so forth that kind of like differentiate there. But it's still something that I'm talking about where, you know, you just... It's not like the same. Now, yes, I do think that like people should have specific ideas built into them, but I don't think it should be like a specific role. Or no, I do think that it should be like a specific role, but I still think that they should have the possibility of doing the other roles. Such as when Taric was originally reworked, he was actually pretty reasonably played top, depending on like items and so on and so forth. But for the majority of his kit, like his W is useless. Like, yeah, it's kind of okay. It's like both his W and his Q are much less used and like important when you play him top lane. Kai'Sa, it can really only like jungle, which is insanely difficult for her to do, and then ADC. I kind of wish that, you know, there was more of like a fun build, stupid things you can do that you're just trying to do for like the point of having fun. And so on and so forth. I wish that like they did focus a bit more on like the fun aspect of things and stepped back a little bit from competitive. Now, I am going to also touch on competitive a little bit. As I said, I'm going to go into the major part of it. As I said, everything I'm going to be talking about is really in the collection part, not when it comes to champions or skins. It's really these four. So, emotes, the reason I'm talking about this in general is just because I like the idea behind it, but at the same time, I find it kind of annoying. I feel as if it was definitely, without a doubt, made for the purpose of making money above all else. Like, I do not think it was made for, you know, communicating and just trying to be funny and so on and so forth. Like, I think that it was a good idea, but at the same time, as I said, I think it was much more oriented on let's get people to buy more stuff from us. Now, as I said, I do think it is a good idea and how they have, like, a whole lot of different... like memeier ones, such as the penguin dabbing, the penguin tipping his fedora, and so on and so forth. And I do think that in general it was a good idea. I just kind of wish that they expanded on a little bit more in the sense of like as a comedic aspect. Like, as I said, like just something that you could have more fun with. The way I would probably do that is like throw in a lot more of like the meme ones, or just have like maybe even ones that do like full on animations. I would love to see like a full on animation of like something from there, or they take into consideration the like their own memes, such as I wish that like you could fling one. Well, like one says like broken or something like that, where like after dying to a champion that a person believed is broken or something like that, you could click your T button and all, and then go up to that one, and then it's just either like the penguin with like a really angry face or a champion with a really angry face, and then with like big words broken underneath it or something like that, or like maybe something saying like your champ is broken, that ability is stupid, something like that. I would find pretty amusing. Oh, like what's it called? Something that says like League of Stopwatches, because that was a great idea. Let's League of Stopwatches. I'm gonna go straight to items. Actually, I know it really doesn't show items, so there's no point of me really going into here. Like I'd have to actually like go into one of these and yeah, like furthermore from there. I don't like a lot of the things that they've done with some items. I don't really generally enjoy the like how they've changed the support items over time. Like now they just give gold per second. They don't really have the passive bandit anymore. I know why they did it, because like you could take that into lane. It's just there's a whole lot of things that they've done with just random items that I don't like. Same with like Ludens, how they swapped it for Morellonomicon basically and made Morellonomicon more of like a tank item, like a tanky mage item. But that in itself kind of annoys me, because I don't really think that mages are supposed to be these tanks. I think there are a few mages that are like supposed to be sort of like Rise, but at the same time I think that they should be more of like a damage dealing person in that general sense. Thornmail, I both like and dislike this update with like having the Bramble Vest giving the Thornmail passive, and then just like changing what Thornmail does, and well, not like what Thornmail does in general, but just changing how Thornmail is built. As like I sort of agree with it, because I like having the fact that like Bramble Vest exists, and it like you don't need to finish off the entire item, but at the same time I think that for the most part you should need to do exactly that. You should need to finish off an item to get its full effect. Now I don't think that full effect should change the entire lane, such as how I always complain where like a person is one item ahead, where I agree with if he's like, if I have boots and one item and nothing more, like I have no gold, I spent it all, and the guy has boots and two items and nothing more, like that I can kind of understand. But when he has Black Cleaver and I have the two items to get Black Cleaver, where's Phage? Just take this in there. Phage. Let's say I have Phage and Kindle Gem, and yet he has Black Cleaver, and yet somehow that item alone, or just having that little burst, it makes the world of a difference. Like, yeah, I still get the same health from it. He gets more, like a good amount more AD, and like the same amount of cooldown. No, it is like it's 10% more cooldown. But I don't think that like an item alone, like just having a little bit ahead, should mean the entire game is completely different and like you should just get destroyed now. I think like sometimes when it comes to items that they kind of go a little overboard, such as Dustblade. I don't think that every time you leave vision, you can do an increase of damage is really the best idea. Let's travel over to it now, I guess. Dustblade, just having this stupid passive, and I don't think it should have lethality. Like, I don't think that something that's supposed to burst you down with like Night Stalker, after being unseen for at least 1 second, your next basic attack against an enemy champion deals 30 to 200 bonus physical damage and slows them by 90% for 0.25 seconds. Ranged basic attacks do not apply the slow. Lasts for 5 seconds after being seen by an enemy champion. Where I don't think that it needs to happen so often. I think that it should be more of like an initial burst item, and I don't think that it should have like lethality. I think that like some items just go a little bit overboard of like all the things that they give you out. Blackout. When spotted by an enemy, reward reveals traps, blah, blah, blah. Like, that, I think, is a good idea. And I think that it should have, like, the Night Stalker of, like, having a bursting thing, but I think it should have a cooldown just like Blackout. No, I don't know about 90 seconds. It should definitely be, like, shorter than that. Maybe, like, half at, like, 45. But it should be something. And, like, as I was saying, like, the lethality I don't think should be there at all. Because, yes, you want to do a lot more damage, but at the same time, you don't want people just to get one-shot by it. And that's what I think, like, the problem with Duskblade is. It's just, some champions, it helps so much more than others. Like Kha'Zix, Rengar can just jump from a bush and jab you. And there's a lot of different scenarios where I think it's just a bit stupid. And then there's, like, tank items as well. Like, defensive, like, armor items. And, okay, let me get rid of you. Like, armor items and magic resist and health. Like, I think that they should sort of separate in different manner of how they do this. Such as, oh. It's a checkmark system. And, like, it's different of how they do this in, like, the sense of you start with it'll be sort of like this, where it's like the attack, the magic and everything, but I wish that they separated things in such a manner as in, like, a bruiser, like, an item is an item, and it has AD, it has this, it has that. And it doesn't give a ton of HP, or it doesn't give too much of a whole lot of different aspects, which is something that, like, Black Cleaver used to do. It's definitely nowhere near it's definitely not as good as it was before, like, that's without a doubt. But at the same time, like, Black Cleaver used to be an insanely powerful item. Now it's still a pretty strong item. This I'm mostly talking about when it comes to tanks. And, well, more than tanks is whatever the heck they're called, bruisers, or I just think that some of their items should be tinkered with in a way that makes them a little bit less either, like, damage, and I think a bruiser should have, like, that combination between, like, damage and health, but I don't think it should be a high in both regards. It should be a medium to low in both regards. When I think currently, like, it's pretty high, where Darius can build, like, a Trinity Force, and then one-shot your team while being full tank after that. It's just, in my opinion, a little stupid. What the heck? Why isn't this showing at all? Okay, then. Where he can just build, like, one item and then just destroy your team because he has so much damage mixed with so much health. Like, I just think some items give a little bit too much, including Trinity Force. Now, spells and runes is a little bit of both. One, I wish that they expanded on the way they did spells. In the sense of I want more spells in general. One, I think that the snowball thing should be in all game modes and just change how far it can go, based off of, like, whatever game mode you're in. The reason I say this is, like, I would love to see someone, like, throw in a snowball from, like, a different area, hit them, dash to it, and then get off, like, a gank in my lane or something like that. Or, like, the jungler will take that type deal. Well, like, yeah, he's going to take smite, but he won't take flash, and he'll take that instead. I wish that, like, sort of like cleanse, how it just, like, takes away part of CC. There's ones that just increase your movement speed. I wish that they had more options, really, than, like, flash, because most of the time you either take flash or you take ghost, and there's really no in between. And then, like, top laners usually will take teleport or ignite. Mid laners usually take, like, cleanse, barrier, ignite, or teleport. Yes, sometimes heal and exhaust, but that's pretty rare. So like mid laner is the one that's most flexible with it. The ADC always takes heal, and the support either takes exhaust or ignite. The jungler is forced to take smite, which is something that I wish kind of like changed a little bit. I wish that I wish that the smite you took kind of depended what item you grab. Such as currently you have an item that actually messes with your summoner spell, Smite. But I kind of wish that they made it so that you grab Smite and then you have that type of Smite from the very beginning to the very end. And yes, you can still get the item, but I wish that they, like, the jungler item didn't become as big of an aspect with when it comes to Smite anyway. Now, do I think this can be a little bit abused? Yes, in a manner such as if we keep challenging Smite, having the capability of doing true damage at level 1 from smiting someone is definitely a bit of a problem, a bit of an aspect that really shouldn't be done. But at the same time, I think that we could really expand on it. I would like to see a whole like new line of summoner spells that actually conflicts with items a little bit currently, such as I wish we removed stopwatches and actually made the stopwatch a summoner spell. Yes. Yes, I did just say that. Where like the summoner where you go invulnerable for this amount of time in a spot, because I think that that is honestly a bit too strong. Now I would keep the item Zonia's Hourglass. So this is where I think that things would get a little bit conflicted, such as Zonia's Hourglass being able to stop you, and then you can honestly like stay invulnerable for a pretty long time if you're a mage that has both the stopwatch summoner spell and Zonia's Hourglass. Could be a bit of a struggle to kill said person. Because, like, especially on people like Katarina, who will just dive into your entire team, use the first one, and then you can't hit her, and you're like, okay, whatever. And then right as she deactivates that one, she activates the other one, and you're just like, well, now we have a problem. Because now her team finally caught up to her, and so on and so forth. So I think that, yeah, there would be a little bit of some difficulty here and there. And then the other one that I was actually talking about is the item GA, where I would honestly like remove the like the passive from GA and make like a whole new item, or potentially just remove the item itself and then do exactly that, where you just it'll basically be a whatever the heck it's called, a alti from Zillion, who I think should be reworked, but where if you die within like the next 4 seconds, it will revive you with like 50% of your HP. And something like that, along those lines, anyway. There are a few others that I kind of thought when it comes. Well, I was thinking like Randuin's Omen a little bit, but not with the speed boost part of it, because like that is basically Ghost. Same with like Righteous Glory, but I was thinking more along the lines of you just do like an AoE slow around you, and it will kind of be like Exhaust, but not Exhaust, because it'll do like an entire group, and it will be like a much smaller smaller cooldown. It'll only have like, I don't know, like a minute or 2 minute cooldown, 60 seconds, and it can slow it like a full 5-man, but it will only slow for like 20%, something a lot smaller, something that will still like catch people out, but just be like, well, it's not something that's like super oppressive. And like so on and so forth in that regard. Same with how I would even increase, like, as I was already said, like how I'd increase smites maybe to have like the smite right away, such as I can grab Chilling Smite at level 1. And because of that, it will encourage more like level 1, level 2 ganks honestly being done, because people will take that. But then you won't be able to like change your summoner spell. Well, we're going to get to that actually a little bit. And then like having more damaging summoner spells in general, like maybe such as Mark, where you throw the snowball. But I'm also talking about like something more like Ignite, where instead of just doing some damage over time. Maybe you have another summoner spell where it just like it either lowers a person's armor, magic resist, something like that, or it can do something along the lines of it just does a certain amount of damage to a person no matter what. Like a just true damage. It just does 500 true damage to a person instantly. And now that would definitely be like way too much. That would be like at level 18. And at level 1, it would only do like 50 true damage to a person instantly. It's just like something that you could just boop onto someone. It would basically be something that you'd want to like use to poke with, honestly. And then maybe afterwards trade it in or something like that. Whereas while I was coming up with this next thing that kind of came into my head a little bit, and this is where we're going to get into runes a wee bit. Let's go into... Let's go into this one and make this just change 3. I would make the Inspiration Rune Unsealed Spellbook. Everyone automatically has it. Where you can, upon using a summoner spell, you get like points, and then you are capable of changing any of your summoner spells into a different one at any point in the game. And this is where the reason I'm saying this is because I think a major part of like the game itself is summoner spells. There are so many different times where there are so many bad matchups like that a person can be in, where whatever the heck it's called, the only chance they have to survive the matchup or do even remotely well in the matchup is to have a specific summoner spell. And you could say, like, oh, when you first get into the game, I could play Vigor. I first picked Vigor, and because of that, I didn't know that afterward, their mid laner picked Yasuo. So I already know I'm going to lose this lane. So I head in with like my usual heal and flash. And then he kills me level 1. But when he killed me, I both flash and I healed to try to, save myself, but it didn't really work. So because of that, I realized, okay, he's just going to keep trying to kill me. So I swap out my heal or my flash or like whatever one I really want to for the GA thing I just told you about or the stopwatch rune I just told you about. Now, I do think that there would be a point where you couldn't really do this, such as Smite. I think that you can't swap out smites. As I was saying, like if a jungler starts the game off with Challenging Smite or Chilling Smite or whatever smite he wants to start out the game with, he will keep that smite forevermore. He will not be able to swap it out, but he will be able to swap his flash for maybe Ghost or, as I was saying, Teleport, just something kind of random where, let's say you guys just got out of a big fight and your jungler had to back. But upon backing, but he was the only one that got damaged, so he realizes that his entire team is starting to run towards Baron, but their jungler's the only person left alive on their team, and he's someone stealthy like Shaco. So then the jungler swaps out his smite, or not his smite, his flash for teleport, and then teleports down there just so he can make sure he's there to confirm the smite. Something like that, I think, would be a great aspect of the game and would really change the way that people would have to play. And I think that it would definitely... I think that, yes, it would need some testing, such as it could, without a doubt, be abused a bit. But besides that, I honestly think that it would be a pretty good idea. Now, there are other... That's really the only major thing in here. I would, as I was saying before, I would take away Stopwatch. Would not even give this to you in general. I don't really like Hextech Flash either. I don't really like the Inspiration Tree, I should really be saying. I think a lot of things in it are kind of dumb. I just... Not like that they're dumb in general. I just think that they should be a little different or reworked in a kind of manner. I think a lot of them shouldn't really be something that you can just start the game off with. I know that, yes, like Hextech Flash or like the stopwatch you don't get for like the first 3 minutes of the game, and the boots you don't get for the first 10 minutes of the game. But I think like in general, I like the boots idea. I like the minion dematerializer idea. I like the cooldown and so on and so forth. And same with like being able to go in debt. And that's what I want it to be more like, is just some things that are effective but just like different things that you wouldn't think about doing. And I think just like some of the items are a bit strong, such as that stopwatch. Like how they have biscuits are now an only item, is something that you can only grab through this now, and even like the biscuits are different because now they use mana and so forth. Now I do think that there are little things here and there that should also be changed in other groups, such as Conqueror. It's a bit strong right now. Like it is just a bit strong. Um, you're missing mana and funds. 10% of your ultimates cool out. What? Well then, this one right here is officially a bit strong. Triumph, I think it definitely is just like a good amount of work with getting like 20 gold per takedown. Are you kidding me? Plus getting like missing HP. Oh my god, when you are a tank and you gain 12% of your missing HP, like really, it's stupid. Overheal, I kind of like the idea of it, but as I said, it's really just, or it hasn't really said this before, it's really just taking the passive from whatever the heck it's called, from Bloodthirster, and applying it to this. I like the second tree in here, and I think for the most part that's pretty okay. Just like gaining lifesteal, gaining tenacity, and then gaining attack speed. I think that the church, I like how the third tree is organized, such as it's more along the lines of like killing a tank or like vice versa. Deal more damage to champions with more maximum health than you. Like this is something like if you're Vayne and you realize that they have like 3 tanks, grab this, you'll shred them. Take the tenacity bit from here, and you just won't matter. From here, deal damage while you are low on health. This is definitely like more along the lines of something that like Mordekaiser could run. Just like champions that have a lot of like life back capability, such as like Darius. Someone who can sustain, or Olaf, someone who can sustain at low HP. This one I think is a bit much, like dealing more damage to lower HP champions, but I think it's okay in general. Domination, I like the idea of it. I just think that in some regards, such as like Predator, I think Predator and Dark Harvest are more of like a situational, you can only really take on a few specific champions. I like a lot of these aspects. I think Taste of Blood is a bit like okay. I think that's really just something you can really only take in lane if you know you're going to be losing the lane, and that's about it. I think that I don't understand why this tree is here. Like, why is this in Domination? Like, Zombie Ward, Ghost Poro. I can understand why the Eyeball Collection's here, but why is the Ghost Poro here? Why is, like, the Zombie Ward resurrecting? I feel like that should be something that, like, you know, supports will want, and should be more in, like, the inspiration type of tree. And, like, I think the Domination should be more... Maybe something along the lines of having like the Dustblade passive, where it shows you when a ward is nearby instead of zombie ward. Or I think that this should be more focused towards assassins, and because of that, like something along the lines to help kill people. I think this bottom tree is fine with like increasing movement speed, CDR. I kind of I agree with it and disagree with it at the same time, how it's only on, like, items. I kind of wish that, you know, I wish that this was the rune that gave you the opportunity of getting higher than 40% CDR, and this was what gave you 45. And from each unique takedown gave you that 1 CDR. But I guess that could just be, like, me As I said, like I think it should be a lot more focused on like assassins and just increasing their capability of killing, and then maybe even changing it up to make them capability of like actually being able to do stuff late game. Like sorcery kind of does. I think that sorcery kind of varies from like um primarily support, poke oriented, spamming mage. I like how these ones are all in the same bow. I think that nullifying orb is like it's really not all that necessary. It's just a blitzcrank passive. But I like how these two are in the same block because it really I've had some struggles with like, do I want ultimate hat? Do I want to just spam my ult, or do I want to proceed for like conserve mana? I think this one's okay. I think Transcendence gain 10 like CDR per level and everything, or not per level, but you know what I mean, like level 10, and excess becomes like bonus AD and AP and all. I think that this one I don't really like. The movement speed one, I think it's okay. But as I said before, I think it's like really oriented towards really specific champions. Um, This one, it's just the reverse of the one that's in the precision tree. It's literally just the reverse of it. Where, like, instead of being at low HP, it's just like you want to be at high HP. This is the one that I think is actually, like, truly stupid. This is yet again towards, like, more along the lines of people who are just going to poke a lot. This is for those who are going to scale. And then this is the one I think is just really dumb. Gain movement speed and AP or AD adaptive in the river. I think that this should be more along the lines in the inspiration tree, where it's just like something that can help and it's different, but it's not really something that you truly think about. The resolve one. Yet again, it's like tanky supports, anything that was CC, top laners majority of the time. This I think is too strong. Like what it was before, I forget whatever. Like it was like the heal a bit of the damage that was just dealt to you a couple seconds ago. I think that was like way too weak, but this is way too strong because now people like mages are taking it, and just people that you wouldn't really believe or would like regularly take it, and they're capable of surviving so much longer and doing so much stupid stuff. I love this one because it was just like that's what it used to be, and I think that Demolish is also something pretty special. But yet again, I think Demolish should maybe be an inspiration for the point of just like I feel like inspiration should just be all like the odd thing outs, like the things that you really don't think about all that much. With like extra health. At 4 takedowns, consume the health to gain an adaptive bonus 9 attack damage or 15 ability power. This one I think is okay. I like it. In most regards. Oh wait, this is it. Like you regain some of that missing HP. I think like this one I think is just stupid. For honestly. And then conditioning I like, and I think that it is good that it's after 10 minutes, but at the same time I could really use it sooner than that. And I think I kind of wish it was a bit different in how it worked, such as I think like for an actual true tank, it should be faster than 10 minutes, but for like the bruisers, it should be like the 10 minutes to the longer. Overgrowth, I like the idea behind it. Revitalize heals and shields you. This is just yet again for like the tanky supports. And this one I think is just pretty okay. Yet again, I would say more along the lines of what I think should go in inspiration. Okay, but that has been this, whatever the heck you want to call it. I guess my thoughts on League of Legends. I think that they need to like mess with like their core values at this point. I do think that they need to prioritize the average player over the LCS people. I think that they need to do the literal what I think they need to do what Destiny did. where Destiny said screw you to the long-term players and decided to go towards the players that are going to pick up the game, beat the game, walk away. And I think that League needs to not fully do that, but just sort of do that. I think that they need to prioritize like the fun level and increase like the players that are gonna like try to make it addictive in the sense of they want people to play the game and then continue to play the game because of how it's fun and competitive, not just how it's super competitive and frustrating when you're doing anything but winning. Because I think it's just a bit much what it is currently. Um, and I feel as if I also think that they need to make it easier generally to learn like the game from scratch. Like I would hate being a person starting out right now, like where I tried to show my one friend named Jeremy when I tried teaching him with like the Let's Learn League sort of series that I did that only has like 7 episodes or something like that, or well 7 parts to it anyway. Um where I think that they need to like prioritize something like that. And I also think that they need to, maybe give more options that you can really do with Blue Essence. Yet again, to like those people that have played long term, for them to actually, do something with all the money that they've accumulated over the time. Like Darius was saying something, or Dyrus. I don't know why I said Darius. Dyrus, when they originally swapped over to Blue Essence, they said they're gonna like give more options to those people. Um, I would even maybe open up some skins, such as I'm not just talking about like the Warwick one that's only available in that time for those people that have been playing forever. I'm talking about more along the lines of unique chroma skins that you can just regular purchase or you can purchase with Blue Essence. And it can just like be something along the lines of that, where like now all chroma skins, instead of only being able to purchase them through real money, you can also purchase them through in-game money for yet again those people that just like are slowly building up money. But yeah, that's what I think. Those are changes that I think would really help the game out. As I said, like everything that I've said so far, I don't think it should just be done. I think that all of them should be tested in some way, shape, or form to decide, like, will that truly help, such as, like, adding all these new summoner spells. Would that truly help out people, giving everyone the capability of using Unsealed Spellbook? Would that make these lanes easier, or would that just make the overpowered people even more overpowered? Yeah, yes, I do think that they need to rework and, like, change a very large part of their cast of like heroes today, or not really heroes, of champions today. Such as I was saying like earlier, like Zillion, a ton of the people that I've worked on so far with the A to Z rework, the majority of the people in this game. And that's what I think should be done with League of Legends. If you agree with me or disagree with me, please leave a comment. Try to say like why you do or you don't, so on and so forth. I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. If you happen to know anyone from Riot, please pass them these ideas. Tell them of my existence. Say, hey, this guy has some pretty okay ideas. Maybe you should do them and stop being lazy stupids. Yes, Riot, you heard me. Lazy stupids. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you all next time, and I'm gonna bid you all adieu. Goodbye.